Hi, I am Don,
And I'm Luke.
and I guess we're going to do part 2 of Breath of Fire 2, our little Xenogears intermission. 'Cause-
Yeah.
Well, it might be part 2 of 3, might be part 2. I don't know. We'll see. This game bounces around us. It bounces us around quite a bit.
Yes.
In fact, left us in the middle of a whale last time.
Traveling towards the Adam Apple. I
Yeah,
believe.
we got to wake this thing up. Unfortunately, it swallowed some kind of statue that keeps it asleep. And, I can't, the only reason we're in this whale is because the game didn't really give us anywhere else to go but the whale.
Right.
And anyway, you have to go inside this whale, and it has an entire ecosystem inside it, complete with an entire civilization of reptiles wielding bows and arrows. I don't know exactly how they got into Grandfather Whale, but
They were probably ferried in by those kids, just like the old
yeah.
man was.
that's true. The guy who left us high and dry in the middle of a whale. Yeah. Anyway, you do eventually stumble across this statue, this asshole statue that is cursing the whale to sleep forever, and you beat it up, and it says, "I'm falling," and it like kind of fades towards the ground, then it fades up and disappears. Then you go up and beat the shit out of the uvula or the Adam's apple or whatever.
Yeah, because just getting rid of the statue wasn't enough to
Yeah,
wake
he
up.
still needs a wake up call. So you got get Cat to beat him because you have to. Well, the game mechanics are good. You needed Cat to get in.
Right.
You needed to get out. And when he does wake up, he spits you out his blowhole.
That
So
was
you
a
get to
great
see all
scene.
the little sprites just twirling through the air. And meanwhile, you see that house with the starving children and the deluded father and the just browbeaten mom just watching their house fall apart around them. Like, we staked everything on whale cakes, and now our whale mountain has just become a whale again. So
Yeah, because it was like a rock whale
Yeah,
that
it
was off their house, but
was
now
like
it's
just-
a real whale.
yeah, and the whale is off the shore and says, "Hey, I should take you to Tunlin because there's a carnival in town." Like, oh, that's handy. That's actually where we're trying to go,
Right.
but not right now. You need to talk to the old man first to get my bell, and then I'll know. Then you can call me like an Uber.
Yeah. Because if you don't have the bell, I don't know where to take you or
Yeah,
where to
yeah,
go.
Yeah, we're speaking now, but that's not good enough. If you ring that bell, I can hear you anywhere in the depths. It's a good bell. So you just walk like 5 feet to the old man and get his bell. Then you get picked up by the whale, and now you can finally traverse the ocean. And there's a lot of places you can go really early. In fact, you can go to like this desert, take a very careful route to a cave, and start the quest to find Blue from the first game
Yeah, we did that crazy
at
early.
level 36 while you're level 15 or something. It's pretty fun. Anyway, the real thing you need to go to is Tunlin, which is an island nation where the carnival is.
hmm
So you go there, and you finally see the carnival. You've known you need to go to the carnival for a while now.
Right, because remember, we're trying to find the grass man
Yeah,
so we can talk to the trees and figure out what happened in Gate.
but you got to go during the day because it sleeps at night, which is a very ominous thing to just say about your attraction. Anyway, you do it's the same song and dance in every other carnival, only this time you like say, "Hey, can the grass man can I talk to the grass man about something?" No, you can only see him for like a second. And if you pay 100 gold, you can see him for another second. Like, can you just release him? No, I need to. I'm gonna feed him to a lion.
It'll be a great show. We'll make a bunch of money off of that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what if I gave you something else? Oh, like yeah. Well, there's this uru papa roo thing. Give me that, and I'll trade you. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever. Is there any other option? You can pay me $1 zillion.
Well, I don't have that.
I don't have.
so-
Okay, so we're gonna do this Pokemon thing. So now you have to take the whale to a very awkwardly located cave underneath a bridge,
Mhm.
but you need bait, so you have to go back to a hunter's lodge. And apparently, there is a very specific bait for this kind of Pokemon.
Owl fruit.
Yeah, it's fruit, owl fruit. And apparently there is a girl that guards this fruit. Well, okay, we can probably we've beaten up girls before.
Yeah.
We can handle this. Unfortunately, this girl is actually like a the little lure on those anglerfish.
Yeah.
There's actually a giant rock monster
It's just
beneath
the
there.
tip of the iceberg under there.
So you have to beat her and her like the little rock monster underneath her. Then you finally get the owl fruit. Then you go back to the cave, and you manage to. You have to leave the bait. Then you have to trigger the actual battle before it retreats back into its cave.
You actually have to lay the fruit down and bait him to come out of his hole, and then run into him before he gets back in the hole.
Yeah, and it has to be a very specific one because most of them will run away.
Yeah.
After you beat them. But when you do finally find one that is that actually works according to the game, you could keep it, or you could let it go because it asks you in its own little language to let it go. And how could you say no to that face? And if you do that, you could leave and come back, and it will leave cool items for you, including a Buster Sword.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I'm sure we can work something out with this carnival man. So you go back to the carnival without the Pokemon, even though you went through all the trouble of capturing it. And he says, and he's like, "Well, you got to pay me $1 zillion." Like, "Oh no, I'm just gonna take the grass man. Fuck you." At which point he turns into a demon.
Yeah, because everyone
does.
a demon,
and he's like this weird mammoth with tusks or something like that, like MC Tusk or something.
He didn't even really look like a bad guy as a demon.
Yeah,
he was just kind of like an elephant.
Yeah, he's one of the attractions. Like he's one of those bosses that's actually willing to roll up his sleeves and get to work.
Yeah,
if he needs to. And then when you beat him, he says, "Don't laugh at me when I'm dead," which is okay. And then you try to let the grass man out of his cage, and you're like, "Oh, there's no way out." Like, and then the grass man says, "Oh no, the exits are over here." And he walks out.
Yeah, I could leave whenever I wanted to.
I was just waiting for you guys because this tree over here, this little potted plant, has been telling me some gnarly shit about what's going on. Apparently, there's a forest that's dying around Gate. Yeah, we should probably look into that. In fact, I got a man on the street, so it's the Great Wise Tree. He'll help us sort all this out. And as long as I'm in your party, you can walk through trees now, which is cool. He actually is a really good character if you level him up. But you go to speak to the Great Wise Tree, and he berates you for being late because now he doesn't remember anything. So you need to get him a therapy pillow that will allow you to enter his mind space to retrieve his memory. And I don't remember if the game tells you that the therapy pillow is in Toonland, or if you just have to go back there by frantically searching.
I don't think it does. I think you find out it's in Toonland some other way.
Like, it's the one place, like, you can go to Toonland when you go to the carnival, but no one will speak to you because you don't have an instrument.
They're all playing their flutes, singing music, and they have no idea what you're telling them.
So you go back to Toonland, but you can't. That one guy who's actually normal says no one's going to talk to you without a flute, man.
Yeah,
you need a flute, like a really big flute, a good flute. You ever been to High Fort? They've got a flute. Where the hell's High Fort? Well, we've got a whale. Let's just look around the map and see where this place is.
Where haven't we been yet?
Well, there's that desert. The monsters here are about our level. I guess that's as good a place as any to check. Oh, we can't go into High Fort. It just won't work. Have you tried having Sten in your party? Well, no. Guess we could do that.
No.
I hope, and this is where the game really expects you to have leveled Sten.
Yeah, if you just didn't play with him at all after you creepily joined your party.
Yeah, but this is also one of the parts of the game where all the characters start to have their moments in the sun, and it's actually pretty cool. Like, Sten goes up and is like, I never thought I'd be back here again. And everyone starts saying, "Hey, it's the chief. He's back. I thought you were killed at the Battle of Goonheim." And like, "Oh, the princess and Trubo are going to be so happy to see you." So Sten, like, when you finally get back into this huge castle, Sten gets kind of shepherded off. Like, he has to meet and greet and prepare himself mentally to face his demons. He has some kind of dark past here. He's been running away from something. So the party goes to try to convince whoever's leading this castle to give them a flute. And you do this by barging into a war meeting. And apparently these monkey folk are mercenaries. And apparently they're in the middle of a war that not only requires Army Corps, but like they're straining their reserves to the point where they have to scavenge from one front to shore up another front to try to eke out a victory. It's like World War I's going on,
Yeah.
and no one you never see this. And apparently there is a female general. I can't remember her name now. Sure. It's not important. Like she's got pink hair.
Yeah.
She's a Saiyan. They're all Saiyans.
They are.
It really becomes apparent that these are just Saiyans. They're mercenary monkeys with awesome powers. She finds out that you were spying on her. We weren't spying. We were just we were waiting in line to ask for a flute. And then she sends you to a dungeon. At which point you're stuck with just Sten, who has to rescue the party.
Yep.
And but before you do that, you have to face one of your old friends.
Oh, this is one of the best parts of the game.
You walk out onto a bridge, and then like, Sten, you coward! I can't believe you left us. You will pay. And it goes like the camera pans up to a tower, and there's this yellow monkey with nunchucks named Trubo. I always called him Turbo. And he jumps down. The camera follows him down, and you have a duel with him. Apparently something went down between you guys, and over the course of the battle, after the battle is concluded, like you win. Trubo blows up the bridge and says, "If we fight hard, we can win this before we die." And fortunately, you just crash into like the ocean below, and Sten will drag Trubo onto shore. At which point he says, "Why didn't you come back? The princess is waiting for you. She loved you more than me. It broke her heart." I'm sorry. After after Gunheim, I just kept running away. Yeah, you ran away. It's like you launched a suicidal attack. That's coward's way out.
Yep.
They're like, yeah, I'm a coward. I've just been running. I'm just trying to make it better now. So Trubo says, we've got to stop Pink Monkey, because she's going to do something with the castle's weapon system, because this castle's a steampunk castle,
Right.
with a lot of crazy, like, it's steampunk in everything except for the elevators, which are manned by little monkeys that just wind it up constantly. So Sten goes off on his own through a series of dungeons, and he finally confronts this pink monkey who took his place, apparently, because he assumed Trubo would become the chief, but she has instead.
She was kind of an outsider. She wasn't even like there whenever.
She's kind of new, but she's apparently good at her job, I guess. And she's trying to get the princess to. Only the princess can access the castle's weapon systems. She's trying to convince the princess to do that, but then the princess sees Sten walk in, and she's really happy. And then Pink Monkey just does the same gimmick with the opening the floor beneath you.
Oh yeah,
the Bond villain, classic. At which point you reunite with the party, which apparently all these little things lead to like fun tunnels that funnel into one specific dungeon. So you break out and you link up with Trubo again. And he has been injured by fighting a wall unsuccessfully, which is actually a very hard wall, admittedly. It's a pretty decent boss fight. But since Trubo has been injured, he can't go with you to face the final boss of this high fort. He's going to stay behind and try to disrupt the weapons system, which he does by jumping up and down on a keyboard. So while you're fighting the Pink Monkey, who, of course, transforms into a demon, she decides, like, at the last minute, she decides she's going to try to take over the castle herself if the princess isn't going to do it. But while she's seems to be activating it, she says something. Someone has reversed the power fluctuators. How could this have happened? And it cuts back to Trubo just bouncing up and down. I hope this is doing something. This causes High Fort to begin a self-destruct sequence. So you have to dramatically escape. Everyone jumps, and then Sten stays behind. Everyone get on this elevator. I'm going to crank it for you.
Oh yeah, I forgot he hit and cranked that.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to have his heroic sacrifice, but then everyone makes it out, and he just like shows up not long thereafter and says, "Look, he says his goodbyes to Trubo and the princess, and he's going to help his friends." And the princess gives you the mystical flute. And Trubo jumps off a bridge because he's cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's just how he travels.
Yeah,
He
I'll
likes
see
jumping
you.
off
I'll see
things.
you again. He's jumped off every bridge we've seen him on. So yeah. So at this point, like, okay, that was actually a really cool set piece. What was I doing again? I needed the flute. Why did I need the flute? I was after a therapy pillow, which is in Toonland. Okay, we need the flute.
Right,
Talk to Toonland.
right.
Okay, so you go back to Toonland, and then you talk to the flute people, and they're like, hey, that's a nice flute. You didn't need that. You could just ask us,
just
man.
talk to
you
us,
could have just
man.
asked us.
Yeah.
Like, come on, be real. So you go to where the queen of this place is, and the problem with the queen is that she's really fat, so she needs the therapy pillow.
She is being taken over by a demon, but not fully. Is that what the thing is?
Yeah, like Granny says something weird is happening. She's fat because she eats, but she's eating a lot more than any human should.
Right.
So you have to go get a specialist that we just fired.
Mm-hmm.
He lives on a mushroom island. So you take the whale to find this island, and you bring the old man back. And he and the granny, who was in charge of the queen, apparently have a kind of a romantic history with each other. And they set aside their differences to figure out what's going on with the queen. And he says, well, my expert diagnosis is that evil fat cells are trying to transform her into a demon to feed on her greed. So I'm going to need you to go back to that island and find a very specific kind of mushroom that looks exactly like.
You gotta get the magic mushroom.
If you don't get the right magic mushroom, you have to go through the entire mountain dungeon again.
Yeah, that was so annoying when we got the wrong ones.
Then you, okay, so we're going to do inner space here. You're going to go inside the fat queen, and you're going to fight the fat.
Yeah, we're playing Magic School Bus.
Yeah. And the queen also seems to have an entire ecosystem of lizard people inside her, along with, like, slimes and magicians and...
The slimes made sense a little bit.
Yeah,
but-
and, like the worms, the lampreys.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, he's got intestinal parasites.
Right.
And the more random encounters you fight, occasionally parts of her will deflate.
Mm-hmm.
And the old man will presumably just scream into her abdomen, "You're doing great. Just keep fighting."
I have to say, this was like the most annoying dungeon in the whole game.
Because it's just walking around waiting for random battles to attack. But the more random battles you complete, the more rare they become.
Yeah, and it
Does it-
seems like each section has so many random battles you have to do.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't realize that, you don't know where you've cleared out. And you have to just walk around everywhere hoping you find one.
Yeah, and occasionally the old man will give you like updates and you'll see the queen. So like you'll clear one specific area and she'll be fat on one side and thin on the other.
That was so funny.
Like a deflating
Her
balloon that's
right
like,
arm's skinny, but
Yeah.
the rest of her is fat.
So after you finally clear her out and save her from becoming a demon, it turns out you've made her too thin.
Oh, yeah.
So then the old man tries to restore her weight a little bit with varying degrees of success. And the queen thanks you and gives you her body pillow or her therapy pillow because she doesn't need it
Yeah,
anymore.
she's not fat anymore. She doesn't need that.
And then you're like, now you've got a therapy pillow. Okay, so I got a flute and a therapy pillow in some really weird ways. Why did I need this again? Oh, yeah, there was a tree.
Oh, right.
There was a tree about 5 hours ago. I needed a tree. Okay, so you go give the therapy pillow to the great wise tree, and he says, okay, you need to enter my mind space to restore my memories. And apparently he has a young version, an adult version, and an old man version.
Yeah, that was a trippy place.
It really was. And you eventually go to another, like, it's literally like an organic brain space
Mhm.
with a really annoying gimmick where you can't see. It's like there's a spotlight on you and you can't see, like, the barricades.
Yeah.
But eventually you find the demon that's that's inside his brain eating his memories, and it's Aru Hamaru, who confesses that he also erased the memories of you and your family from the people in Gate, which at least explains why no one remembered you
Yeah, that makes way more sense now. That
and establishes that you didn't just go dimension hopping. It's just the same dimension. It's just no one remembers you there. So you kill Aru Hamaru, and the Great Wise Tree says, "I still don't have all my memories, guy."
yeah, he erased the tree's memories too.
Look, it involves Gate. your hometown, not hometown, your hometown.
Mhm.
And it also involves this demon is getting power from somewhere, and there's a group of people to the south fighting it. So you should probably go that way. So you go south. There's fog. You can't go through fog. And there's a guy hanging out in the fog who says, "I bet something's wrong with Sky Tower."
Yeah, you should probably go look at that.
Okay. We should probably mention that throughout all this, that little town that ruin you've been building up is now a full-fledged town.
Yeah.
That can be like a Muslim, a Mughal architecture, or just like standard medieval, or like Ewok village, depending on which carpenter you use. You can, and there was a guy inside the Tree Brain who is one of many people who will join your town to become either a trainer or a merchant or just a bum. I recruited a lot of bums in my game.
The guy in the Tree Dreams was good though, because he gives you spells if you meet his very strict standards.
Yes, you like have to be on the verge of death.
0 mana,
no magic,
1 health, and you have to just keep talking to him until he likes you enough.
Yeah, I want to see like him in a Harry Potter movie where he's just like in an ICU
trying to train people.
Yeah, like he's at the cancer ward of St. Riley's Hospital, and he's making all these kids not only cancer free but like archmages, like casting missile. He's building a secret army. Yeah,
that's how Voldemort got his start, Don.
Oh, that's true. Dumbledore did go. I haven't seen that movie, or I never read the books, so but he did get found that in like some weird place. So where? Oh yeah. Okay. Sky Tower is in the middle of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the whale out there. You dock with this giant sky tower. It looks like something out of Mega Man Legends. And all the little ocean people, the fish people, like penguins almost, that run the shops.
Yeah, they're like their head is like a regular fish.
Yeah.
And then they just have like a human body underneath it.
Apparently, they're mining crystals from this thing, which leads you to believe they're probably the reason it's messing up the weather. Apparently, that's not the case. They'll let you in, and apparently, there's another shaman that's been doing it, which is like which is one of the only other gimme shamans you can use for fusions. It's the water shaman. I don't remember the exact combination, but some of the fusions you can do are really cool.
Yeah.
Like some of them will turn Spar into a little girl.
Yeah, that was really funny.
One will turn him into a plant dinosaur. One will turn Bo or Bao, the dog with the crossbow, into a cyborg with a arm cannon. It's a fun mechanic. Anyway, once you get the shaman out of the sky tower, the fog clears, so you can finally go south. Now, the tree told you that there are people to the south fighting it. And when you go south, all you see are people who look like Rand, like armadillos.
Mm-hmm.
And Rand is really apprehensive about coming home. He's like, this is a loser who came from this place. He's talking about himself, obviously. Yeah. And then he reluctantly goes up to the big manor house in the center of town, where and right when you go up to this house, a paladin gets thrown out by a armadillo woman with like a rolling pin, saying, "You get your filthy Church of Saint Ava out of here. This is Namanda territory." And then she sees Rand, and he's like, "Where the hell?" She's like, "Where the hell have you been, boy? You've got chores to do." Apparently, Rand left home in search of adventure, and now he's being drugged back home, and he's immediately reverted back to his to being a child.
He's like 10 years old now.
Yeah, and so are you. You're now being put in charge of plowing the fields. You had a quest, by the way. This is not the place you were supposed to go. No. This was just on your way, and you don't have a choice in the matter. I can't remember her. Daisy.
Daisy. Yeah.
Daisy. Rand's mom says she will cook for you if you plow the fields. By which I mean start random encounters with trees, sticks, logs, and at least one golem that have taken up residence in the field. When you finish that up, Daisy says, "You know, you did a good job. Now go up to the Namanda shrine to pay donations for a good harvest."
Oh, yeah.
And if you do that 20 times, you get a shaman out of it. There's no
Nobody
indication.
tells you that, but
Yeah, if you do it like 5 times, like I did, you will see something spawning halfway, which leads you to like, okay, the more you do, the more something will grow eventually. But it's easy to miss because there's reasons that
there's really no reason to even go back and
Yeah.
check on that.
because when you go back to Rand's hometown, and you go check on Daisy, a paladin comes out and he says, "Hey, it's like you go to check on up in the field there, there's a paladin, and Rand's like, hey, where's my mom? Oh, she joined the church. No, we saw her reject you pretty firmly 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, she was literally saying she would never ever support your church.
Yeah, like no, she sold this field to us, and we're gonna build a church here. It's I've got a letter from her saying it's okay, and Rand has an honor battle with the paladin, saying, "Hey, you give me back my mom. I want to know. I want to talk to her, not you." And then after this fight is over, Ray shows back up. Good guy Ray, and he's like, "Hey, what's okay? What's the problem here, guys? Come on, let's not fight. We're all good people here." And like, "Oh, this is our land, Rand. Now, I mean, your mom sold it to us. Like, I don't believe that. Well, it's her handwriting.
Look at the contract right here.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, and then Rand's like, "No, you need to leave right now." Like, and Ray's like, "Okay, well, we're gonna leave, but this isn't over. I mean, this is the way things are gonna be, Rand. You gotta listen to your mom." And you're like, "Okay, we've got to save my mom." And the church, like, this is your first indication that there is something demonstrably wrong with the Church of Saint Ava. So now you have a reason to search out the people who are planning to stop the generalized evil. So you go further south, and there is a rebel camp. Like, calling it a camp is kind of generous.
Was it all cat people there, or was it?
It was just cat people and regular dudes.
Yeah.
I think it was just one cat person. Apparently, cat people are very rare because you need cat to get in because there's boulders blocking away. And they're like, "Hey, you need to talk to Taiga. He's our leader." And it's just like a little ghetto village with like a log cabin in the middle. And when you walk in with Cat in your party, because you have to have her, there's no way to get rid of her because it's actually it's well engineered to set this up for you. Taiga is at the head of a long table with all his rowdy rebels saying, "We're going to take down the church." And he sees Cat walk in, and he does like the Looney Tunes wolf.
Yeah, he like phases through the table. That's how fast he's going.
Yeah, to like start chatting her up. And we're going to get back to overthrowing the nasty church, but right now I really need to put my groove on because there's not that many cat people around.
Yeah.
And he feels that he and Cat need to get married. But Cat is hesitant because this guy is just really creepy.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah. And then he immediately assumes, oh, it's because the main character. You've got main character attraction going on here. Well, I'm going to fight him. And you could fight him forever.
Forever, yeah. It's
And
impossible to beat him.
But he's a cool guy. He's like a really buff cat man. And eventually you have to let him beat you. At which point he says, "Well, that settles it. Me and Cat are getting married, but if you want to help us take down the church, you can do that." Unfortunately, we can't take down the church because we need funding, and our benefactor is missing. And she is apparently in the thieves' tomb right now. Well, where's that? Dude,
Beats me, man.
just look. Figure it out. It's it's right next to Highfort. It's a place you could visit, but there's no way to go into it. There's an annoying dungeon maze. It's not that important. The important thing is you find Patty again. Apparently, she has been thieving across the land to support the anti-church rebels the entire game, which is kind of interesting. So you bring her back, and like, okay, we're finally ready to take on the rebels, to take on the church. But I can't remember exactly how. At some point, you need to go to that little church town in the south, but I don't think that's right away. I think you need.
We need to be able to fly before we can do that.
That's right. We need the church's headquarters is on an island you can't access via the whale, and you need to conduct reconnaissance for the rebels before they will do anything else. And Nina says, "I have an idea of how we might be able to do that." So she goes back home to Windia, and she says, "Look, my people used to be able to turn to birds, but we can't. But through a magical ritual, I might be able to permanently turn myself into a bird." and I can fly you guys there, but it will mean losing all of myself in the process. So it's the next character up to the plate for dramatic backstory and self-sacrifice. And so Nina goes back home and reconciles with her parents, who kicked her out because her black wings were an omen of great doom. But they were supposed to kill her, to be fair.
Yeah, that was the plan, but they just cast her aside.
They sent her off to school forever. And she talks to her dad, who is in the middle of being sermonized by another guy from St. Eva, who says, "Hey, everyone's doing it, man. Just I'll pray for you." Like, and the king's like, "Look, I'm happy to accept your prayers, man, but I'm not going to force everyone in my kingdom to worship your God. That's just not how I roll. What, you have a problem with my teachings? No, I don't. I'm just not going to force it down anyone's throats. Come on." And he runs off in a huff. At which point, and then the king focuses on Nina and says he's sorry. He explains why he did it. And Nina says, "I need access to this dungeon so I can prove myself and get the power of the great bird to save the world." And now this is the part where she has to go off on her own solo adventure. A bunch of statues are like saying, if you do this, you're never going to be human again.
Right.
You can't be you can't you're going to lose all your friends, all your memories, all your family. Do you really want to do that? You really want to do that? And then you just keep going, and you find another Nina from the first game, who explains that the reason the bird people can't turn into birds anymore with impunity or fly very far is because she married the dragon boy from the first game.
So the bloodline is no longer pure.
Yeah, apparently it just ruined everything for everyone. And she gives you a magical artifact that will allow Nina to conduct the ritual. But first, everyone needs to go to sleep.
Yeah, it's been a long day. You got to take a rest before this.
She gets one more sleep as a human. But then Mina, who knew nothing about all this, she has overheard that they need a great bird.
Yeah,
and Nina needs to say goodbye to her friends. And Mina is sad, is really frustrated with being left out of the loop, kept in the dark by her parents. She wants to support her sister, and the only way she can. So she steals the artifact and goes to this chamber that's always flashing arc lightning, but the guards say it's fine. It's just magic. And she locks the door behind her. Nina almost catches her, but she gets locked out.
Just too late.
She's trying to break her way in, but by the time she gets in, Mina has already transformed herself into the bird. And but Mina does seem to have some memory of who Nina was, and now you have a bird that is willing to fly you anywhere very fast. The whale is no longer necessary.
Yeah, it is a great quality of life improvement.
Yeah. So now you fly to the church headquarters, and it's a nice town, very big, very big city. Everyone there seems really happy. They're really stoked to be at St. Eva World. And you try to go inside the main church, but you can't. There's important stuff going on here. Yeah. So you try to leave, and you can't. And it gets cold, and everyone starts acting funny. They start speaking in monosyllables, talking about how it's cold, how they can't feel anything. And there's one person who says, you need to get out of town. I'm a mole with the rebels. Flush yourselves down this toilet.
It's the only way out.
And yeah. And you go through a really convoluted dungeon and manage to escape. You hop on Mina and burn trails back to the rebels. Oh man, this is worse than we thought. So we gotta do. So I think this is the point where you go down to the south to go to investigate the other St. Eva town.
That might be right. Yeah. Because you're still looking for Daisy.
Yeah, you're still looking for Daisy, and she wasn't there. So you're just checking. You're investigating the church. So you go to that other St. Eva town that's actually on the mainland, and you investigate the dungeon there. And the priest in charge, has escaped through a tunnel. And apparently, everyone that has gathered there this is where you go on the mainland as a follower to earn your place on the island. And you find everyone in cages. Apparently, this priest, has been using all the faith of these people as a power source for his god, who is obviously a demon. And then after I'm assuming there's a boss fight. I can't remember exactly who
Yeah,
with.
there was some kind of boss fight there for it.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, you go back outside, and then you see, instead of rebels, you see the priest and a nun, and they're like, how did you get back there? And then it turns out it's Taiga and Cat. They're just perfectly disguised. A giant tiger man is just a dead ringer for a bald priest, and Cat is a demure nun instead of a cat girl. And then, like, okay, we have our way into the church. We're going to launch our big attack. You need to study up on your church history so you can pass a quiz. And Kat is no longer in your party because she's with Taiga, but she says, "Look, guys, I'm gonna come back. Don't worry. I'm really conflicted about continuing the cat race and just doing my own thing. We'll figure this out later." So you go back to church headquarters for the big showdown in disguise with all the rebels. And you could go through the game, like all the church. Like I can't remember exactly where you need to go, but you learn all the creed of the church, memorize it. But then you go into the back of the line. So the guard is like, "All right, repeat after me. Finish this creed for me." But then it runs out right as you go in there. So he asks you a random question, like, "Oh, what's the name of our god?" I don't know what is the name of this god. It's Evans, apparently.
As far as we know, there's no way to find this out.
Yeah, it's just Saint Evans. Yeah, you're in. So now you get to watch a big packed church as the head priest comes out, and he's giving he's getting everyone pumped up to fight the non-believers because they have found that spy that helped you.
Oh yeah.
And apparently the spy was a girl. I didn't notice that at first.
Yeah.
And apparently this girl was madly in love with Taiga, and Taiga didn't realize it because she wasn't a cat person. So she's up there pretty much crucified on magic, while this priest says, "If you would just accept our God, I can release you." I imagine there's other non-believers here. Are any of them brave enough to stand up for you? And then Taiga runs up to fight the priest, and he does a decent enough job. I mean, he doesn't actually land
surprisingly well.
Like, he throws some pretty cool punches, but the priest just keeps phasing out of the way. And then the priest just, like, throws him up into the ceiling and then throws him down. You hear bones crack. And both Taiga and his and the girl who loves him die together. And then they're like, "Okay, that's all for Mass. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord." At which point the party pursues the priest, and you pursue the priest throughout the castle. He leads you on a chase. You come across Daisy finally. She's in a little cell.
Oh yeah.
And you let her out.
Do we fight Ray before we find Daisy, or is it after?
I can't remember.
I feel like it was before, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like your first big obstacle is Ray. He's like, "I don't understand why you guys are fighting the church. I thought we were bros. Church is good. Like, the church is a good institution. I don't know why you're fighting it. I don't know why you're questioning this. Why do you have to be all nitpicky about a little ritualistic homicide every now and again, and kidnapping and whatnot? I mean, sure. I mean, everyone does it." And he turns into a dragon, which is kind of a black dragon. And his turning into a dragon triggers the final dragon power in you, where you become the Giga Dragon.
He doesn't it, like, once you beat him, he like realizes the church was wrong, and then he teaches you the dragon ways.
I think he says that in order to unlock the true potential of a dragon, he has to face another dragon in combat.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
And he is like the last of the Black Dragon clan and he reveals that the reason he serves the church is because he was taken in as an orphan by that priest. So basically he's you if he's basically you if you didn't have a dog person to take you off on a life of crime.
If you had gone to the church and been raised by the head of the church,
yeah,
like your plan was.
Yeah, that's what would have happened to you. So after you beat Ray, and Ray dies because, but he's at least free of the church's influence now. Then you free Daisy, and you go on without her, and you come to another set piece where you trigger some kind of trap, and Rand holds like a collapsing wall away so you can keep going forward.
It's like the trash compactor in Star Wars.
Yeah, like he says, you guys gotta go on without me. I can hold this. But the party like tries to like push so he can get out too, but he says, no, we're all gonna die. You need to go make them pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
And so the party reluctantly like steps away and goes
you're
up.
Absolutely sure he's dead.
But the camera stays focused on Rand, and his mom comes in, berates him for not being strong enough to push it back, and she joins, try to help push it back.
She like tackles him out of the way.
Yeah, she like forces him out, and then she takes his place holding it back, and then it crushes her.
Yeah.
At which point Rand becomes like Rand stays his stoic self, but he walks up to the party in silence and says, "Just let's finish this," which is really cool for an SNES game.
Oh yeah,
This like the second part of the half of the game is really good at these little moments. So you catch up to the priest, who immediately escapes again. He like has reptile archers to slow you down, and you finally find your way to a weird contraption that has an old guy in it. Looks kind of familiar if you remember the sprite. If you kill everything about this contraption other than the old man is freed.
Which is pretty hard, actually.
Yeah, it actually is really hard because you really want to use like the nukes that will hit all the possible targets, but that will kill the old man, so you don't want to do that. And if you do that, the old man will warp you away as this machine, which was apparently controlling St. Eva headquarters, goes up in flames. And as this town explodes, he warps you back to the town you've been building up. And if you have happened to go to a very specific corner of a library in a town of ox people, there is an ox girl in a laboratory who will come to your town because you have a weird computer.
There's like absolutely no reason to go to that.
No,
town,
not
right?
really, no.
And the door is like completely hidden. You can't tell there's a door there.
Yeah,
You
there's
just have
no
to
door.
walk
It's
to
behind a walk. It's
Yeah.
behind a. Yeah, it's one of those things. And if you bring, and if you talk to her while she's studying this computer after rescuing Father Gaynor, who is your father, he's blind, but he recognizes you. He's like, yeah. After he says, yeah, Ewa, your little sister, ran off. He got captured by the demon, and he's been powering that machine for God knows how long, and he's just you've got to stop the demon. Saint Eva, the church, the God I was worshiping, is feeding off the faith of the church's followers. But then you talk to the ox girl, who says, "I think this machine of yours uses a human power source. We need we could stick someone in here. This thing might be able to fly." Your dad shows up. I have experience in this field.
I've been training in this for 10 years.
Yeah. So he parks himself inside this, and now your town is a floating fortress, which is so cool.
Yeah, that was so cool.
It's really slow, but
You can park your hometown wherever you want to.
like you have a mobile base. If there's like a good place you want to like grind for levels, you have an instant like just go to an inn and then come back out. Anyway, now the St. Eva Church just went tits up, and Cat's back in the party because Tyga is dead. You go back to Gate to finish this off. And at this point, you probably suspect that the priest is bad, but he could just be like your dad who was duped.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. The town is kind of empty. You go up to where the dragon is hanging out, where all those caves are, north of town. And all the people are saying, we believe the dragon is responsible for the forest dying, so we're going to blow it up. And before you can get a word in edgewise, they do it.
Yeah.
And the dragon moves slightly from responding to its injury, and demons start flying out. And the priest is like, oh, God, what have I done? You better go find Patty. She's an expert on dragons.
Right.
Oh, well, okay, that's a bit of a hassle. But, we have a bird.
Yeah,
She's a
it
fast,
take too
it's a
long to
fast
find
bird. You call the bird, demons to chase off the bird. So fortunately, you do have a floating castle still. So it's just a lot slower. So now you go on a globe hopping tour. Like, okay, where's Patty? She left. Where'd she go? She said something about getting a bite to eat somewhere.
Yeah. So head over that way.
Okay. Well, she's not here. She went to like the thieves' tomb again.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's not there. I think she heard something about a new town. Wait, new town. I have a new town. Oh, she's in my room. Okay. Well, we found Patty, and I just said, yeah, they blew up the dragon. They did what? There's going to be demons over. Yeah, there are demons. I'm surprised you didn't notice. So Patty comes back to try to solve this little cave crisis where demons are flying out around Gate, and the priest announces, I was actually evil, and I needed Patty for my machinations.
And it's actually the priesthood in Gate is actually the Pope who you were fighting at the main church.
Yeah, he's just hiding his. And he reveals his true form as a demon known as Habaruku, which is very similar to that Amazonian fish that will crawl up your urethra. Habaruku or something like that.
Just as dangerous.
Yes. Anyway, this guy he needs Patty because he needs someone of the Dragon Clan to sacrifice to open a barrier for his god who is inside this cave. And Patty is of the Dragon Clan. That's why she has wings. She's not a Batgirl, she's a Dragon Girl.
Right.
But then she calls out for her brother. And, okay, if you haven't put together that this blue-haired girl who's of the Dragon Clan, like you, is your sister... This is where, yeah.
It doesn't outright say that anywhere, I don't think, but that's what's going on.
Yeah, and to make matters more interesting, the dragon that's been injured swats Patty away into the bushes where she's going to be safe, and then you have the boss fight with Habaruku, and you kill him pretty easily, at which point the dragon becomes a blue-haired lady who offers the chance to lift the barrier of this cave to go in and deal with the problem. Or she can leave it up. If you leave it up, the demon will do exactly what like the dragon lady says. You know, thing's going to break out eventually, but maybe like 100 years from now.
Yeah.
You just want to leave it, that's fine. You can do that. You get a bad ending if you do that. But if you choose to go inside, Dragon Lady sacrifices herself to break the seal because she's also a dragon.
Yeah.
And then the gut punch happens.
Requires the sacrifice to get in there.
And the gut punch is that it becomes very obvious right at the end that she is your mom.
Yeah.
So this is the last time you see your mom since you were 6. Or not even 6, 3, I think, for you, probably. And so you go into this dungeon, the in-game dungeon, and about the halfway point, you come across a village of the Dragon Clan. Everyone has wings. Apparently, it's not common for dragon people to have wings. It's it's an after effect of being so close to the demon, Death Evan, they call it, which is a fragment of the final boss from the first game that has been growing in power ever since, as like a vengeance
to come back later.
Yeah, and you talk to an old man who turns out to be your grandfather, who tells you about Valerie, your mom. And you play as her coming up to run reconnaissance on the surface to see what's going on because something is feeding Death Evan, and she can't figure out what it is. She meets your dad, who is the priest of St. Eva in Gate, and they fall in love. She has you, and then she has Yua, and then everything goes down when the demons start flying out. She turns into the giant dragon to block them away. And that's why the dragon appeared mysteriously at the same time she disappeared. So, yeah, that's actually it's a really good moment. I'm not gonna lie. I really like the playing as Valerie and just having trying and the characterization of Father Gaynor, like he's the priest of Saint Eva, but he's like, hey, you worship the dragon god. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'll pray the dragon god too. That's fine. And then you continue with now that you have a character backstory complete, you go off to fight the final boss. But first, you find one more little temple with an old man who says, you know, all these friends you've made along the way. If you sacrifice one of them, you'll gain infinite power.
We'll give you the ultimate dragon.
The ultimate dragon power. You got to prove yourself. You got to prove you're willing to kill Dog Boy, your cool armadillo friend, your frog friend.
I was totally ready to sacrifice Bao. I'm not gonna lie.
he was there at the beginning. He should be there at the end, and they're all cool with it. At least the visions of them are.
Yeah.
If you choose to say if you choose not to, they will say like, "Hey, you're a coward. You're not willing to do what it takes to stop Death Heaven," and then it kicks you out of the vision. And then like in the real world, where everyone's really worried about you, all your party members are like, "What's going on? Oh, he's fine. He's passed the test. Here's infinity. You'll know when to use it."
Yeah.
It's not in random battles apparently because it's grayed out. So you finally fight your way to Death Heaven, who is just like this old guy with robes and like, I am God. You can't touch this.
Do you want to talk about the random mini boss on the way there?
Oh, we completely Baru Berry. I completely forgot about him.
So the guy who we met at the very beginning of the game in the cave.
Like the chief lieutenant of God, who's like schemed to break open the barrier, which has just paid off
in spades. Yeah,
you broke the barrier the way he kind of hoped you would as a destined child, but and he's ready for round 2 now that you're actually an adult, and he actually has a sense of honor. He hey, fight me one-on-one.
He's actually a pretty good dude the whole time.
Yeah, and if you beat him, he's actually like, dude, I think I messed up. I think you're gonna kick God's ass. In fact, there's a really cool item in this black void.
Somewhere to this direction.
Yeah, it's to the east. It's on the right side. You have fun looking for it.
The whole hallway is completely black, by the way.
Yeah,
you can't see anything.
I hope you have both Cat and Sten in your party, so you will button mash in specific areas.
You're groping around in the dark.
Yeah, you need to break a wall.
You have to break the wall.
Then there's a void you can't see. You need to reach over it.
That.
Then you get like a really cool item, and it's a troll move, but it's fun.
It's par for the course for this game.
Yeah, it's like a 60-hour game, 59 hours of which is just looking for this thing. Yeah, then you go to face God because it's Japanese RPG. So yeah, and he freezes you in crystals. The main character manages to break out, but then he gets like God just does like another force paralyzed thing, and then he mocks you while like saying, "Hey, these are all the people that you made along the way. If you hadn't made friends with them, this wouldn't be happening." Yeah. He sledgehammers them all right in front of you. And then he runs off like, "I'm going to go prepare to end the world now. See ya." So you have to like button mash the D-pad to break out of the paralysis. And then God gets really pissed off at you and starts flinging fireballs. But your character goes into like the battle animation where he's a more fleshed out sprite, and he's just running full tilt down this bridge as meteors rain down from the heavens to kill him, and he doesn't care. And then you come up on God, who's standing perilously on the edge of a ledge, like, "What the hell?" And then you cleave him in half, and he falls down. And then like an actual demon shows up, so you have to face Death Heaven. And it looks like you have to face him alone. And he does this attack, which will always have your life.
Yeah, it was obviously you were not going to win the fight.
A not winnable battle. Fortunately, you have infinity, which brings all your friends back. So you have that happy reunion, then you kill God together. And it's a really challenging boss fight, obviously, but it's manageable with a good party composition and just good strategy, keeping someone healing constantly.
Yeah.
And then you kill God, and he's like, "I don't understand. Everyone dies. I don't know why you hate it so much. I'm just gonna. You got some growing up to do, guys.
All I want to do is kill everyone and make us one. It'll be great.
Everyone's gonna die. And like, I don't understand. I just don't understand." And then he goes off into the darkness, and then you walk out, and the last person who in your party who in the lineup of your party will like turn back and look at the God chamber and like reflect on their journey. Like Rand will talk about his mom, Nina will talk about Mina. I can't remember what the Frog Prince says.
Yeah, they all have different ones, but I can't remember what they are.
Yeah. Anyway, as you're leaving the cave triumphantly, having defeated the demons, Ryu remembers that the demon isn't dead. It's just gone back into hibernation. It's going to get strong enough again somehow.
Eventually, he's going to come back.
Yeah. Maybe not in your lifetime, maybe not for 1,000 years, but it's going to come back. And he thinks maybe I should do what my mom did.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't unlocked the secret floating fortress, that is exactly what he does.
Right.
And it's actually kind of sad because there's a portrait of there's portrait art of Kat and Nina watching the stone dragon of you just forlornly. But if you do the cool thing, your dad interrupts you in the middle of your heroic sacrifice and says, "Let me handle this, son. I messed up a lot in my life. I worshipped a demon by accident." And he parks your town in the front of the cave. Meanwhile, all the party members that you didn't take to the final boss are like just ragdolling across like the living room because their town's coming in for a crash landing. And your dad powers down the fortress like, okay, it's just going to stay here, and we're going to keep all the demons bottled up. I'm going to sit on my golden throne and keep the forces of chaos at bay because he's the god emperor of mankind now. And Ryu gets to live his life and rebuild along with all his lovely friends.
Yeah.
And you get to see, I think at the ending, you see Patty with her wings looking off towards Township where she's going to reunite with her brother. And it's just a whimsical, happy ending. It's I could see preferring the ending where Ryu makes the heroic sacrifice, but your dad coming to save the day in a floating fortress is so cool. Sometimes Smaltz just works. And then you just get like the credits are really cool with some of them are flashbacks. Sometimes it's just like the Frog Prince going back home.
Mm-hmm.
Mina as a bird just flying free and happy. It works.
It was good, yeah.
The game is just fun.
All around.
It's just a really, really good game. And it's on seeing it on SNES Classic, that's actually surprising. There's a lot of game there.
Mm-hmm.
And I could definitely I really wish I just kept playing it when I was a kid, because I could see this eating up a lot of time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wish I had played it as a kid. It would have been awesome.
Yeah, I would have loved several moments of this. That I keep coming back to that moment where you're charging towards God through fire and flames.
Oh yeah.
That's such a memorable goddamn moment. But yeah, it was a memorable game. It's Breath of Fire 2. And Xenogears does Xenogears was another late 90s game. Bo would know exactly when. I just do the transcription for the notes of random events, but Breath of Fire did get me back into I just want to go play more JRPGs now.
I just want to play these huge RPG games, get all the story.
I want to have a game troll me. I want a game to send me on wild goose chases.
That was honestly the best
for no
part,
reason. Yeah,
just not telling you where you're supposed to go.
There
and
is
figuring it out.
the guy who programmed this game is probably dead by now, but he's having a laugh.
Oh yeah. when they tell you Patty's in hometown, but she's really inside your township.
Yeah, they call it hometown. That's not hometown. My hometown is Gate. But there's a town called hometown because it's federal law.
But she's in neither of those.
Yeah, no, she's in township. Just good luck finding her. Have fun. Have fun, little Billy. Anyway, that was Breath of Fire.
Yeah.
2.
Thanks for watching, guys.
See ya.